I've been thinking a lot about growth lately. Not the slow, steady kind we expect, but the non-linear jumps, the level up moments that completely change your trajectory. And what I've noticed in the people we're bringing on the show over the next few weeks is this. They are opportunists. They spot those chances, they lean in, and they end up creating these outsized growth moments for their businesses and, more importantly, for themselves. Welcome to the Property Management Frame Breakers podcast. I'm your host, Pablo Gonzalez, and I am here to introduce you to the folks in the property management space that have broken the frame of what you may believe was possible. This podcast is presented by Vendoroo. It is your all-in-one AI solution for resolving your maintenance needs. Let's go. So today, I want to talk about what it really means to be opportunistic, how you can start building it as a habit, and obviously why AI plays into this equation as both one of the biggest opportunities and the tool that unlocks your ability to be an opportunist. So number one, what's clear is that growth is non-linear. It isn't always incremental. It doesn't always come from grinding a little harder every day. More often, it's almost like a staircase with these like big leaps. Right? There's like steady progress and then boom, a big jump. Opportunism is how you catch those jumps, right? Like that's when you get up an echelon and never come back down from there kind of thing. You just start playing at another league. And opportunism as a habit really became clear to me when talking to Mark Cunningham, who, you're going to hear from next week. And from the outside, you see him at these like speaking gigs and he's got this educational platform and people travel from everywhere just to tour his business and his operation. And I wanted to find out kind of like what he does on a day-to-day, right? I was trying to like break down how he got there. And more importantly, like once you're at this place where you're like free to do high level stuff, what do you do? But the first thing that became obvious to me is this pattern, is that he doesn't overthink it, right? He doesn't wait until he's ready. He sees a signal, takes a step forward. If the signal strengthens, he keeps moving, right? Like failing forward is kind of like how you move forward, right? Like it's how these jumps happen. And, like it happened for him. The first time it happened for him was when he realized that he was stuck doing this like low wage task, right? And as an opportunist, what he thought was, okay, I know I can go hire somebody, but then what do I do next? And he was really smart about this idea of thinking, for me to take this opportunity, the thing I got to solve for is how do I create enough value from my time to pay for replacing me out of this, right? So that's how he started. He started by focusing on higher value moves that could get him there. And, we know the end of that story. We know where he's at right now, right? He's like a 1,000+ store property management company and doing really cool things. But that step of replacing yourself is so key. And that's when my conversation with Tony Cline that's also coming up is going to be really, really valuable about that thing, right? Like he is a guy that has replaced himself in his business enough to scale and exit. But even before that, he was able to like start doing ultra endurance races, right? Like he experienced all this like personal growth because what he realized is that he used KPIs and scorecards to build a system under him. That freed him up to then do these moments of like big growth that now has him hosting these like game-changing events like this Grand Canyon crossing and this high-level mastermind and growing a community and doing those kinds of things. So that's like step 2, right? It's like you see the opportunity, you take a move. Once you start moving into this other opportunity, then it's on you to also set that person up that you put in the place of handling what you were doing before to win, right? Creating scorecards, creating KPIs. So you're gonna hear that from him too, but it's part of this playbook. And it brings me to my friends Alex Wadoff and Lacy Hendricks, who are really just living this opportunist playbook right in front of our eyes, right? Like over the last year, they got obsessed with SEO in their business. They saw, like this huge gap of the way that property managers are being serviced on the SEO front. And nobody was really doing SEO at the level that like they needed it to drive true revenue through their website. So they solved it for themselves. They became tacticians. And now, because they've unlocked that, they're launching a new business called Clearly Digital to service property managers in a way that they're not being serviced in the market, in these like SEO, property management native ways to create your website as like your money page, the number one revenue generator. I think Lacy broke it down I just heard her on another podcast. She's getting property management agreements signed at a cost of $8 per agreement coming from her website. And they're hosting this webinar next week. It's on September 3rd. I think it's at 1 p.m. I'm going to put the link in the show notes for you guys to go to. But here's why I want you to check it out. Yes, you're going to learn about SEO and how to drive revenue through your website, but I want you to watch two people lit up by finding their lane, by finding an opportunity, creating real value by their peers, and building something like really profitable by spotting a gap and moving on it. That's the opportunist habit in action, which I think is going to lead to great results for them. And finally, let's zoom out, right? AI to me isn't just a huge opportunity, which it is. It's also the lever to get you into the opportunity, right? For example, right now in property management, human maintenance coordinator historically handles maybe about like 60 to 80 work orders at a time. And what we are finding is that with Vendoroo, we're seeing maintenance coordinators handling 200 work orders at a time, right? Like we're already there. Like we were at that lower threshold when we first started. Now we're at 200. The horizon is very clear. We're going to get to 400 here pretty quickly. That is truly non-linear growth, right? That's what happens when you're able to replace the work that bogs you down with an AI teammate who never gets tired, never gets sick, and only gets smarter, and is not just in maintenance, right? Like this is going to happen across every function in property management, right? Other people are going to bring this to market across every function, and we're going to see this AI first leap, right? So it's a giant opportunity for you to do this and build an AI first company. And, by going AI first, you're already solving for that thing, right? Like that, like figuring out how you're going to get someone under you, get somebody to like understand how they're going to win through like using these AI systems. And the last thing that kind of like dawned on me is being an opportunist means giving yourself space to see things differently. Mark reminded me of this at the end of our podcast conversation, which you'll listen to next week. Curiosity and creativity really aren't optional in this journey. They're actual inputs for growth. The biggest opportunities often come when you're not heads down working, but when you're exploring, listening, learning. I mean, like just yesterday, I had that in my head. I was feeling guilty because it was like 8 a.m. I was deep into this podcast about like how Harley Davidson was created. And, it's something that I'm very interested in, right? Because it was kind of like one of my aha moments on community creation. And instead of like answering emails or like getting stuff done that I needed to get back to my team, I was listening. And it was just one of those moments of curiosity that could spark the next opportunity. And once I had Mark's voice in my head, it gave me the license to not beat myself up for not being on like the productivity hustle and being more in the curiosity thing, as seeing it as one of my inputs. So if you're listening to me now, you're doing the same, right? You're not just trying to solve today's problem. You're here because you want non-obvious ideas. You want these like linear growth moments, these outlier things. That's where the growth is. So let's wrap it up. Let's bring it together here. Growth, it's non-linear. Opportunity is a habit. Don't wait. Step towards a signal. Replace yourself. Build systems so you can make that leap as you get closer to that signal. AI is both the opportunity and the lever to unlock the others. And curiosity is the space you give yourself to explore. It's fuel for it all. It's an input. It's non-optional. I want you to check out Alex and Lacey's webinar, September 3rd. You're going to see opportunism in action. Stick around for the next new episodes. You're going to like this stuff. Mark Cunningham, Tony Cline, Alex and Lacy are coming on. You're going to hear the behind the scenes. They're packed with stories that will challenge the way you see growth. But most of all, give yourself permission to lean into opportunism, because it's the biggest opportunities aren't waiting for when you're ready. They're waiting for you to take that step towards the signal.